In our earlier lectures, we covered Moon version 0.110 to understand how it all started. Now, we have an updated version of Moon and things have changed a bit. We'll be exploring how it is now a bit different than the earlier version that we explored. So here, the version that we will be exploring now is version 1.0. That's in beta. In order to work with the newer version, we need a couple of files and we can download them using the npm or node package manager. So here what I've done is, using the terminal inside this app prj project, I installed Moon browser and Moon compiler. Now in case you want to do the same, you can just go ahead and say npm I Moon, and similarly once this is installed, you can go ahead and install Moon browser. And once you're through with this, you can go to these directories that has been created by npm, and inside each one of them you'll find a distribution directory. So from here we'll be taking moon.js, and then from Moon browser we'll be taking Moon browser.js. Now once you have these files, I've created a simple HTML page, and you can see we are using moon.js and moonbrowser.main.js. Now once you have included these two scripts, you will also notice that we have a similar div of sorts. Like earlier we had this app, and here we are having the ID as root. The other thing to note over here is the script tag we are using inline over here. So we have specified the type as text/moon, and inside that you will be noticing a couple of new things like moon.view.m button. Now this button is available inside the view collection that Moon offers, and you can create instances of it. Now after that, what we have done is we've also created an increment function. We'll come to that a bit later. Over here at the bottom, what you will notice is we have this moon.use. Now if you remember from our previous demos, when we were creating the Moon app, we were having data and template. Over here data remains as is, but templates have now been replaced with views. So here we have a view. Now data is initialized with moon.data.driver, and then view is moon.view.driver, and it's pointing to the root div that we have in our HTML page. Now after that, what we are saying is, let's go ahead and run this instance. So we have initialized data with the value 0, and then here the view is now making use of a component which has this attribute data, and the default value is set to 0. Now if you look over here, the view component is defined here. It takes a data as an argument or parameter, and then we have the button over here. This button is coming from this collection. So we have the button, and then remember we don't use any m-on directives anymore now, and here we are now having @click event for this, and we're calling the increment method. Data is then displayed over here as the value of the button, and when the click event happens, what it does is it takes that data value and it adds 1 to it, assigns it to a data new variable, and then it's returning a new view altogether with this data. So this is the data new, and over here we're passing that as the new value to the existing view component. So a couple of things that you might have noticed over here is how the views have changed in the new version, how the declarative syntax for events like m-on click has changed to @click, and now we also have a collection coming up as buttons and other HTML elements. Now if I go ahead and run this one, here you can see the initial value that is coming up is 0. If I inspect this, you can see it's saying button 0 button, which is the view or the custom view that we created. Now let's go ahead and click on this, and you can see that it's re-rendering it every time. So the whole button element itself is being rendered over here every time you click on the button, and it keeps on incrementing the value. So the new version has everything as functions. It takes driver input and returns driver output. It's just a fancy name given to views and everything, but if you see, these are all components with data and templates as it was in the earlier version, but just to follow along the conventions, we'll be now referring them as drivers going forward in all the upcoming lectures.